Hi, I'm John with the Treasure Finding Rods Company, and I've got an exciting new long-range locator put on the market here. It's taken about close to a year research and development and extensive field testing, and I'm really excited to announce today that it is ready to go and fully functional. So this is the TFR2 molecular frequency resonance locator, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about this new incredible long-range locator device that we got finalized. I'm going to be giving a little introduction here on the functions and how it works, and then I'm going to be doing a test demonstration. You can find any type of metal or mineral with this locator. It has a sample chamber right here at the top, and you can just place a sample of what you're looking for. You can find meteorites, diamonds, gems, paper money. The list is extensive. It'll find literally anything that you can put in this chamber. So let me go through a little bit of the functions and just give you a quick introduction here on this locator. I'm trying to keep it steady here in the camera. This is the power button right here. You can turn the unit on, and once you turn the power on, then you can turn the discriminator dial, and as you turn the discriminator dial to the left, it has a whole wide range of weight settings that you can adjust to find the targets that the sizes of target range that you're looking for, from less than a gram all the way to 100 pounds and more. Between 100 pounds and maximum, you have a few hundred pounds there to play with, and then when you get it on maximum, you're on unlimited weight range. So as you turn this dial from the left to the right or the right to the left, the signal strength light indicates the amount of power that the TFR2 is putting out. See, as I turn it to the right, it's getting brighter because it takes more power to find smaller targets at long distance range. So you turn it to the left, the signal strength light will dim. So here we have a neutralizer. So when you're changing samples in the sample chamber, one type of metal or mineral to the other, you would use this function, and you would wait about 15 seconds, and that will completely neutralize whatever previous sample was in this chamber, because this unit, this TFR2, is so powerful that it locks on to whatever type of metal or mineral that you put in that chamber, and it holds on to the residual energy field of that sample. So when you're changing your samples, you would use the neutralizer function. So you also have a conduit indicator, and this locator is one of a kind. I believe it's pretty much the first of its kind on the long-range locator market, possibly in the world, because I've been using long-range locators, dowsing rods, metal detectors, and different types of frequency locating devices for many years, and I've never seen anything like this as far as the power, sensitivity, and the distance range that this thing is capable of. I don't want to give away all the secrets of how it works, but I can just say that this thing is working with a circuit board, and it's harnessing the power of very, very potent crystals. and it's working through the crystalline structures, waveform technology, harnessing the power of crystals, and it's kind of like a magnetic field generator would be the best way that I could describe it and how it's working. It's working through magnetic fields and crystalline power, and that's about all I can say about that without giving away everything. But when you see how far this thing can go on a very small amount of gold and silver, believe me, you'll be amazed at what this thing can do. So let me get the rod component, the antenna rod that plugs into it, and I'll explain that a little bit. Okay, here we can see the voltage meter. See, this is where you would check your voltage for the TFR2, and you can keep tabs on your dual battery power. This thing's working on a dual lithium-ion 9-volt battery system, and here in the back you can see that you have 2 battery covers, and I'll just open one of them, but you can see that there's the lithium-ion 9-volt battery. Very easy to take the batteries out and recharge them. They're rechargeable batteries, 9-volt batteries. So there's your voltmeter. We're at 16.6 volts now. So now I'm going to get the antenna rod component, and we'll turn this back on, and I'm going to show you how you would connect the antenna rod, and give you a quick little demo on that. Okay, this is the TFR2 antenna rod component that works with the TFR2 box, and it's stainless steel, and it's got an aluminum handle, and it's got a jack connector at the bottom. And this is it's hollow, partly solid, partially hollow, and it doesn't have a power load like my other locators, because the TFR2 box is generating all the power necessary. So in other words, it's got its own power source inside here, that its own little generator that's generating all the power that's necessary, that shoots out through this antenna rod. So this is more like the directional antenna rod part of the device. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it in here. Okay, you see the conduit indicator light just came on because I plugged in the bottom of the antenna rod there. So you unplug it, and that light goes out. That just lets you know that you've established a good conduit. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate also real quick, if I have the time here, how this has a dual carry function setup here. You can hook it to your belt with this heavy-duty belt clip, but you can also use a very comfortable padded camera strap, shoulder strap type of a configuration, and I'm going to show real quick how you would do that. Okay, so here is the padded shoulder camera strap type deal that if you don't want to use it around your waist and you want to free up your waist for other metal detecting accessories as you're hunting, then no problem. You can just connect this camera strap. It's got these loops here on the side, and you can just connect them just like that, and then you can put it around your shoulder. You can adjust the length of the straps, and you can just pretty much, you can put it you can position it over your chest or on your side out of the way, but it'll free up your waist for if you're carrying metal detector accessories like little shovels and pinpointers and stuff like that. Okay, so here you go. You can see that I've got the if I can show here in the video, I've got the camera, the padded shoulder strap camera accessory hooked up. I have a small piece of refined gold down in there, about 18 carats. It's about 1.5 grams, and I have today for this test demonstration, I have a 2 gram gold 1946, I think it is, Mexican gold coin. Okay, so I have a piece of refined gold, 18 karat gold, about 1.5 grams in the sample chamber. And because we're looking for refined gold on the demonstration test here, so I'll go ahead and close that. So now we're going to adjust our discriminator dial. We're going to adjust it to the exact weight of the coin that we're going to be doing the test demonstration on. And in this case, it's 2 grams. So we would want to put that at exactly 2 grams. So we're on 2 grams. As you can see right there, I've got it adjusted to 2 grams, which is the weight of the coin. The TFR2 also has a direct voltage connection that when you connect to that setting, it disables this dial. So in other words, if you want to hunt a park for coins, for example, do some coin shooting at a park, or look for jewelry, stuff like that, and you're not sure exactly what the weight range is of what you're looking for, and you don't want to be limited to the weight range on this dial, well, no problem. You would just connect to the jack on the bottom, that's on the bottom here, that says direct voltage. And then what you can do is when you find a target, which is what I do, you can switch it over to the discriminator dial, and you can just start. You can start at 1 gram, because most coins and jewelry is between 1 and 5 grams. And you could just start adjusting the dial here until you get a signal, and then you'll know what your target size is before you even dig the hole. And that's a pretty good, darn good little tool there. Okay, let's talk about real quick about how much of a sample you should use. So regardless of the metal or the mineral that you're searching for, 1 gram would be the minimum amount. 2 grams, between 1 and 2 grams is optimal. You don't have to put an ounce or a half an ounce of your sample metal or mineral in this chamber. It's not going to make this work any differently. Just try not to put less than 1 gram. Whether it's diamonds, whether it's gold, whether it's silver, whether it's platinum, try to have at least 1 gram of the metal or mineral that you're searching for in the sample chamber. Also keep in mind, when you're hunting in discrimination mode and you're searching for smaller targets, like between 1 gram and 2 grams, between 2 grams and 1 grams in this area, or even less than 1 gram, you're using full voltage from the dual batteries. You're using full power, because it takes more power and more voltage to find smaller targets, because smaller targets, like between 1 and 2 grams, are putting off or emanating smaller energy fields, electrostatic fields. So you want to do what you can. If you're going to spend a considerable amount of time hunting for small targets, like let's say you're looking for 1 gram gold nuggets, for example, or you're looking for coins that are between 1 and 2 grams, you want to do what you can to conserve the battery's voltage and turn the TFR2 off if you're taking a short break, and limit the amount of time that you're going to spend searching for these smaller targets, especially if you have larger targets you want to search for and you're out in the middle of nowhere and you only have so many batteries to use. Do what you can to conserve your voltage when you're in discrimination mode and you're between 1 and 2 grams. 1 ounce or more is okay. It's not draining that much power. But on your smaller targets, as I said, below a gram up to 2 grams, even to 2.5, even above 2 grams, between 2 grams and an ounce, you want to do what you can to conserve your battery's power. TFR2 uses full 18 volts of power in direct voltage mode, and this takes a lot of power from the dual batteries. So, to conserve this power, when you're hunting in direct voltage mode, turn the dial all the way to the left, the discrimination dial, as it lowers the output voltage on the signal strength LED, and it will allow the battery's voltage to last longer. So you're going to turn this dial all the way to the left when you're hunting in direct voltage mode, just like that, and it will conserve the battery's voltage longer. Also, when you're taking a short break, a water break, lunch break, I recommend that you turn the TFR2 off, even if it's just for 10 or 15 minutes, and this will also help conserve the dual 9-volt battery's voltage. Remember, this thing is extremely powerful, and it takes a lot of voltage to run the generator, the magnetic field generator inside, and to run all the functions. So you want to conserve that as much as possible by using these methods that I'm describing here. Okay, let's talk real quick about your voltage indicator and how you would monitor your battery's voltage correctly for the correct reading, so that you will know when it's time to recharge the dual lithium-ion batteries that you are going to remove from back here. So, the correct way to get the accurate reading is not when the TFR2 is on like that. You're not going to check, you're not going to monitor your battery's voltage when the TFR2 is on. That's not going to give you an accurate reading, because it's taking power from the batteries when it's on to start to run everything in there. So the correct way to check your battery's voltage with the voltage indicator is very simple. You press this button, and that is an accurate reading of the battery's voltage when you check when the unit is off. Always check your battery's voltage when the unit is off. The instructions say, the instruction manual says, do not allow the dual batteries to get below 14 volts, but you can actually hunt down to about 11 to 12 volts in that area. It doesn't have to be exactly at 14 volts before you recharge the batteries. And you're going to take these battery covers off, just like that. And you're going to remove the lithium-ion 9-volt rechargeable batteries very carefully. You're going to remove each one and pull them out gently, that you don't put any stress on these snap connectors, these wires, because they can break if you pull them too hard. So basically that's what you need to know about checking the voltage of the TFR2 and recharging the batteries. You can also use alkaline batteries if you want, or you can use nickel batteries also. You don't have to necessarily use the lithium-ion batteries that come with the TFR2. Other types of rechargeable 9 volts will also work. Okay, so right now I'm going to be explaining the neutralizer function on the TFR2. How you would use the neutralizer function to erase the residual imprint between when you're changing samples right here in the sample chamber. It's very important that you learn to use this function, because this device is so powerful that it creates a very strong field around your sample. And that's part of how it works. So each time you put a metal or a mineral or any other type of material in this chamber, you're going to need to neutralize it and erase it if you're going to change your sample. In other words, if you have gold in here and you decide you want to hunt for silver, well, then you're going to you take the gold out. I'm going to show you how you would do this here in a minute. You would take the gold out before you would place the next metal or mineral. If you're looking for silver, before you would place your silver sample in here, you would have to use the neutralizer function. And you don't have to shut the TFR2 completely off when you're using the neutralizer function. All you need to do is turn this switch on. I'm going to show you here. I'm going to show you here in a second how you would do that. So let's go ahead and pretend that you have gold in the sample chamber, and now you decide you want to hunt for silver coins. So this is what you're going to do. So you see, I have a gold coin down in there, right? So now I've decided I want to hunt for silver coins at a park, for example. So you're going to take the gold coin out, just like that, and you're going to close the cap. Make sure it snaps back on. So now what you're going to do to use the neutralizer function is you're going to press this switch right here. You don't have to touch any of the other controls. You're going to press this switch right here. It says neutralizer. And you're going to count approximately 15 to 22 flashes. About 15 to 22 seconds should be good enough. Okay, so you're going to wait for those flashes. And what that's doing is that's neutralizing or erasing the residual imprint of the gold coin that was in there. Otherwise, if you don't use the neutralizer, what will happen is the TFR2 will still have that residual imprint of the metal or the mineral that you had in there before, and it'll just keep looking for gold since you had a gold coin in there. So it's very, very important that you use this neutralizer in between changing your samples. Even if you're only spending half an hour to an hour, even 15, 25 minutes in between samples, you still need to use the neutralizer. Okay, so after you've allowed that about 15, 22 seconds, you're going to shut it off. Then you're going to open up the sample chamber, and you're going to put in your new metal or mineral. In this case, I have a mercury dime. You can see it down in there. So then you're going to close the cap, and that's pretty much it. You're ready to hunt for silver now. This will apply to any metal or mineral that you're searching for with the TFR2. What I like to do is, if I'm hunting gold, for example, and I know it's going to be a couple days of just gold, then leave your gold in there, because the longer you leave it in there, the stronger that energy imprint builds up in there. So you don't have to take your samples out each time you're finished using the TFR2 for the day and you shut it down. You can just leave them in there. That's fine. The only time that you're going to have to neutralize the residual imprint or that signature is when you're changing from one sample to another. So this is how you're going to use the neutralizer function, which is also explained in the written instructions. Okay, so when you're using the neutralizer function to help conserve the dual battery's power, you would also, this is very important, you would turn this dial to the left, and you're not going to let it go past 22 blinks. So between 15 and 22 seconds would be your maximum on the neutralizer function. 15 and 22 seconds. 15 seconds is plenty. If you've had your samples in the chamber for long periods of time, I would recommend that you do 22 seconds or 22 blinks. Just remember, when you're using the neutralizer function, keep your discriminator dial all the way to the left. Also make sure that your voltmeter is off. Don't have it on when you're using the neutralizer function. That will also help conserve power, because the neutralizer function uses a lot of power to erase the residual imprints of your samples. Now here's another question that I get asked a lot that I want to cover this real quick. If you have the discriminator, you're hunting in discrimination mode, keep in mind that you can also hunt in direct voltage mode, and that's explained in the training video. But if you're searching for 2 grams, for example, if you have the dial exactly on 2 grams like I have right now, that doesn't mean that you're going to find everything from 0 to 2 grams. Don't get confused by that. If you have it on 2 grams, that's exactly what you're going to find. You're not going to find anything less than 2 grams. You're not going to find anything over 2 grams. You're going to find exactly 2 grams. Same thing if you have it on an ounce. If you have it on an ounce, you're not going to find everything below an ounce up to an ounce. You're going to find pretty much exactly an ounce. You could be maybe a little, maybe half a gram under or half a gram over, but usually this thing is about 95% accurate on the weights. So keep that in mind. And as I explained in the other part of the training video, if you don't want to hunt in discrimination mode, you're going to unhook the jack from discrimination mode, the discrimination mode jack on the bottom, and you're going to plug it into direct voltage. In direct voltage, this entire dial is disabled. So basically, in direct voltage mode, you will be able to find any size targets, all the way from less than a gram all the way past 100 pounds and bigger. Okay, so now let me explain the difference between direct voltage and discrimination voltage, also right here called the conduit connector. So, as I explained before, when I was talking about the discrimination mode of the TFR2, I mentioned that you can hunt in the optional direct voltage mode. So, if you're in discrimination mode, you're going to have the stereo jack connected right here. So in this mode, you will have control over the size of your targets on the discrimination dial. If you want to hunt without any discrimination, in other words, any size targets at once, all at the same time, then you would unplug from this jack, which says conduit connector, also the discrimination connector, and you would plug it in to the direct voltage mode, just like that. So in the direct voltage mode, you have no discrimination on the targets, the size of the targets that you're looking for. Anything from below a gram to over 100 pounds, 500 pounds, 1,000 pounds, 10,000 pounds, several tons, no limit. So sometimes what I do when I'm hunting, like at parks and looking for nuggets in gold fields and stuff like that, and I'm not sure what the size range is, I will hunt in direct voltage mode, which is once again all size targets at once, and then I'll switch over to the discrimination mode and I'll start turning that dial from a gram or less all the way up to maximum and past maximum until I get a signal. And then I will know what the size of my targets are before I start digging any holes. So this is how you would use these two jacks, these two hunting modes. So let's check the voltage one more time, since I got the camera settings here figured out. So we're at 16.5 volts, and we're at 2 grams. So now let me get the rod set up and get the camera set up, and we can see if we can do our test demonstration. Okay, you see the 2 cones? In between the 2 cones is where I have the 2 gram gold coin, an older 2 pesos Mexican coin. So what you're going to do is you're going to hold the rod level, and you're going to make sure that you got it balanced and you've got it level, that it's not dipping on its own, and you're going to do a sweep. You're going to sweep the rod back and forth real slowly, and you're going to look for that pull. You see that pull that I'm getting to the cones? See that lock where the antenna's pulling? It's kind of like a small pull, a small tug on a fishing line. That's what you're going to be looking for. That slight pull. That's the signal lock. That's the pull, the attraction that the TFR rod is getting onto that gold coin. So you would start your sweep wide, from left to right and from right to left. Then you would narrow it down, your sweeps, right where the pull is, so you can get your line of bearing. So right where that pull begins, and right in there where it ends, that small little space there, that's where you're going to get your line of bearing. So you're going to imagine like a laser going to your target, like a line, an imaginary line. See right in there where the tip of the antenna is right between the two. It's on one edge of one cone, and then it stops on the edge of the other cone. That's your line of bearing. That's your line of bearing, and that's what you're looking for. Okay, so this is learning the walk-by method, and this is as good as I can get to a long-distance walk-by method, because I can only go so far away from the test target before we lose a visual on it. So I intentionally placed it over there by those 2 metal barrel looking things over there, It's just to the left. You can barely see them, the two orange cones with the gold sample. So I got the TFR4 balanced here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start walking sort of in that direction, and I'll divert from that direction to show you how the TFR4 rod will start to pull. Even though we're off course, it'll start to pull to the gold sample target that's over there. So we're just going to pretend that this is a field that you're hunting and you don't know that the gold coin's there. And I'm going to demonstrate now how you would just walk with the TFR4 rod, and you would scan this field just by following the tip of the antenna and the direction that it pulls to. So you make sure that as you're walking that you have the TFR4 balanced and level, and you just start walking about any length of distance really, and you just start following the tip of that antenna and the direction that it pulls to. Now remember that the gold coin is over there to the left of those two metal barrels. So at some point you're going to notice that the TFR4, because we're slightly off course to the right, you'll notice that the antenna will start pulling in that direction. So you just keep following the direction that the TFR4 antenna is pulling to. Now you see the orange cones over there to the left? We're kind of going off to the side. Now you'll notice at some point that the TFR4 will start to pull. It'll start to pull in that direction, especially if I divert a little more to the right. So I'm giving you this demonstration so you can see how it'll start pulling to the gold coin, even if you're off course and you don't know. See how it's pulling to the left? See the attraction pulling on the antenna? So you're just going to follow that pull. So we're going to start walking a little to the left of where that pull is, and you'll notice that at some point as we start to get close to the target, you'll notice that it'll pull to the right to where the gold coin is. You see how it's pulling to the right? There it goes. Now if I intentionally continue to walk, I pull the rod off the attraction and I continue to try to walk past it in the opposite direction like a magnet attracted to a piece of steel. Watch how it'll pull back. There it goes. You see how it's pulling back to where the gold coin is? So you're going to just keep following the tip of the antenna to lead you to where your target is. And this will work in discrimination mode or in direct voltage mode. So now we're getting up to the gold coin. So then when you get within the circumference of that gold coin, you're going to shorten your antenna as I demonstrated in part 1, and you're just going to keep closing in the circle. Closing in the circle right over the gold coin. And there's the gold coin. You can see it right there. And that is your long distance walk-by method that you're going to use. I'm going to be demonstrating now how you would hold the TFR4 balanced and level. So when you're doing your sweeps with the TFR4, you want to keep it as level and balanced as possible. And you want to keep your elbow up against your side, and you want to keep the locator a little above your waist. But just make sure, just practice sweeping it back and forth, keeping it level. And that way you're not going to be getting any false signals. So you want to find that CG, that center of gravity, and then you just want to practice. As long as it takes, you want to practice doing your sweeps and walking with it. Practice walking with it, holding it level to where you can get it to where it's not turning all over the place, to where you're just keeping it balanced. Just like that. That perfect balance. So that when you do get a signal, it's balanced enough and it's level that you'll know you got a signal. You'll know you have a pull. It's kind of like a coffee cup or a cup of water. You can just practice sweeping it back and forth without spilling it. It's the same principle. So you don't want the front of the antenna, the front of the locator, to be tilted down too much, because when you're doing your sweeps, if you're tilted down too much and you're off balance, you're out of level, you're going to be getting false signals. It's going to be flopping around. Same thing, that you don't want it the front up too much, because if you have it up too much and it's off, see, it's turning by itself. So you want to find right in here with your wrist and your hand, you want to find the perfect balance. See how I'm moving it back and forth and the antenna's barely moving, the tip of the antenna? This is what you want to achieve. That perfect level, that perfect balance to where it's not dipping and it's not up too much in the front. It's just perfectly balanced there. So that when you do get a signal, you'll know that it's a real signal.